Hello guys, my name is John Michael E. Reyes, and today we're about to answer all the activities in chapter 5, and I'm I'm from Batangas State University, and I'm currently a BSIT second year student. And the first activity would be activity about map and LLC sublayers. As far as I've known, there are some description about map and LLC that I've remembered because I've already read this chapter many times, I think because of Dakota. Then let's try to answer it. Control the network interface card through software drivers. And the first software drivers, I think, is in LLC, the NIC. Then works with the upper layer to add application information for delivery of data to higher level protocols are somewhat. We all know that MAC layers are in the sublayer. The first is the physical, then the data link, then in that somewhat in that would be the MAC, then the LLC, so that's why LLC goes in the upper layer. Then works with hardware to support bandwidth requirements and check errors in the bits that sent and received. In this statement, we can clearly see the the things that already pertaining to the answer, the hardware to support the bandwidth requirements. Just like that, we all know that LLC is somewhat not connected to the hardware or physical device, and the MAC is somewhat doing that, so the answer would be MAC. Control access to the group through signaling physical misunderstand standards requirements. As I've said earlier, a MAC is somewhat in cooperation with the physical, then LLC is somewhat in the upper layer. So in this media through signal in physical misstandards requirement, it should be MAC. Then support Ethernet technology using CSMA or CD or collision detection, or CSMA or CA or collision avoidance, and that should be in MAC in the sublayer because it is somewhat connected to physical devices. Then remains relatively independent of physical equipment, and from that independent of physical equipment, it would be LLC because it is in the upper layer or much more higher layer than MAC. So let's see. As you can see, I've successfully matched the description to the correct sublayers because I've already read this many times. And let's proceed to the other activity. And again, this is the second activity of the chapter 5, the identity Ethernet frame field names. Then it is somewhat drag and drop again. Then let's try to answer it. Uses pad to increase this frame field at least 64 byte. And that pad would be the header and the data, and it is 802.2. Then as you can see, there are the 802.2. This is what I've remembered in the description. It is perfectly described in here, that's why I already know it. Then describe which higher layer protocol has been used. I think it's let's start with this third, the frame originating and interface MAC address. That would be this, I think it should be the source address. I think it's not the source but the start frame delimiter, I think, or no, the starts source. I think it's the source. Then let's try to detect errors in the Ethernet frame. That would be frame check sequence or FCS. Then synchronize sending and receiving of frame. That would be the start frame delimiter, then notifies in new frame, that would be the preamble, because preamble is the first thing in the packet. Then assist a host in determining the frame received is to address to, then this one the destination address, then the type would be the last in here because higher level protocol has been used. Then let's check. As you can see, I've already successfully matched the Ethernet. Then let's proceed to the figure 2 activity. Then this one, I think it's 8-6, as I've remembered it is 8-6-6-2, 46 to 1-5, then 4. But in this, the 7 would be the preamble. It is somewhat in two places, the preamble and the start frame delimiter, or SFD. Then this would be the destination, then the source, then the length, then the data for the 46 to 1500, then the frame check sequence. Check. Then as you can see, it's all correct and properly in place. Then let's proceed to another. The third part of the activity in chapter 5. There are previous videos that I've uploaded about switch it, but I'll try to answer it again in this chapter 5 in order to be tackled again. So let's see. Source map is somewhat on OA on FA1, and destination map is OB. And as you can see, OA and OB is already in the MAC table, so it only would go to FA3. The OB is in FA3 in the port 3. Then the question 2 will be in the frame is a unicast, because as you can see, the OB will be is already registered. So let's check. So you can see that's correct, because for me it is just easy to do it. Then let's take a new problem. Source map. As you can see, the source map is OD in the FA7, and the destination map is in FA1. We as you can see, guys, the destination map is not in the MAC table, or not registered in the FA1. So where will the switch forward the frame? It will still forward the frame in FA1 and FA3, FA5, FA9, because it will be flooded all over the ports, because the sender don't know where the destination is, so it would be a flooded ports. Then let's check. So you can see I've answered it correctly again, and that's all for this activity, and let's proceed. Then this is the activity, another activity of chapter 5, the frame forwarding method, store and forward, and the cut through forwarding method. Then let's try to answer. The question number 1 would be, buffer frames until the full frame has been received by the switch. In store and forwarding methods, it is somewhat the frame is fully being absorbed by that. Then after a few scanning or error checking, it would be released in full. That's why in this statement, that would be the store and forward. Then check the frame for errors before releasing it out of its switch port. If the full frame was not received, the switch discards it. As you can see, if the full frame was not received, it will discard it. We can already see that they are checking some errors. That's why it would be a store and forward. Then no error checking on frame is performed by switch before releasing the frame out of its port. In cut through, the answer would be cut through, because in this, as you can see, there are no error checkings, and somewhat the frame out of its port, it is somewhat in a pass space. That's why it would be a cut through. A great method to use to conserve bandwidth on your network? It would be store and forward. Why? Because if you scan everything and doesn't provide any errors, it would be a great for you in order to conserve your bandwidth or data. Just like as you can see in this question 5, the destination network, no, I think it's in 6, sorry for that. Then the destination NIC discards any incomplete frames. If there are any incomplete frames, there would be, and somewhat in this statement, it is somewhat in a past space, so it would be cut through. Then as I said earlier, if there are so many errors, there would be more bandwidth, and more bandwidth is equal to more data, and more data is somewhat very expensive, I think. The faster switching method but may produce more errors and integrity, therefore more bandwidth may be consumed, that would be cut through. Then let's check. So you can see all of my answers are correct. Then let's proceed to the part 2. Then so you can see there are 8 choices but only 5 questions. Cabling used in topology will be this topology will be straight through. This would be straight through. Then to find where PC2 is located, PC1 send out would be a broadcast because PC2 doesn't know where the PC1 is, and PC2 will respond back by sending a unicast because PC2 already know that it is his or her message, that's why it would only send a unicast, not a broadcast. If PC2 receives only half of the data frame, it will discard it because somewhat we all know that if a frame is being received by only in half, it would be discarded. Then if PC2 receives many damaged frame on port S1, likely will change back to store and forward switching. And I think this, as you can see, it's all correct again, and that's all for this activity.